Good morning, Glenn. Good morning, everyone.
Hello.
Happy conference day too. Sorry there was a little bit of a delay there with the start time, but we should be good to go. It's 11:01 and it looks like people are still trickling in. So Glenn, maybe just give it a couple minutes, but I'll go ahead and give you the stage to go ahead and get started.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good. We'll wait a minute or two.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Astrid. Appreciate it. Appreciate all you're doing to make our conference a success. I'm going to share my screen. So I grabbed this one for founder Bill Teichmiller this morning. When I host these COVID sessions, I like to find some relevant political or COVID-related, these satirical comics in the paper, and this one relates to broadband in rural America, something that we've probably heard 3 or 4 times from Bill so far in this conference. So this is in tribute to him. We're just a couple minutes after. There's not a lot of folks on yet, so we're just going to wait, maybe another minute or two, maybe wait till 5 after to get started. It's my intention to run through. I do have a slide deck like I traditionally have, but run through it kind of quick, just kind of give everyone a flavor that haven't been a part of the COVID forums before, and then give you most of the hour back. It's kind of lunchtime in the Central and Eastern time zones, so maybe folks can get a little something to eat before our next session starts in an hour. I do have some time. I really do want to thank Astrid and Emily and Eric and Jim Morris and everyone who had a hand in setting up the conference. They've done a wonderful job preparing the content, organizing, facilitating everyone. We're really appreciative of the work they've done to get that done, and of course the design of our great gift box for attendees here. We appreciate that very much. It looks great, and I've heard very good things from the staff here at Doka Water that have are participating too. Well, this Teichmiller is not even on. I went to the trouble to grab this comic from him, and he's not even on. Astrid, you better help me out. Tell him I'm going to switch off this slide, and I'm not going to share it with him after all if he's not going to.
He was already feeling guilty about yesterday too, so he's in the board meeting though. Their board meeting's wrapping up here in the next 5-10 minutes, and then he'll be on to support you. So. All
right. Well, he's going to miss the comic. Oh well.
That's right.
All right. Well, we'll go ahead and get started. So if I turn off my camera, will it just pull up the main thing full screen? No, it doesn't look like it, huh? Is that something you're able to do, Miss Astrid? If I wanted to just show the screen for a couple minutes?
So it looks like each person will need to just click on full screen. So whenever you just hover over Glenn's presentation, you have the option at the top right corner where his name is at to just hit full screen if you want to follow along with him. Okay.
Well, we'll do it that way. So it's up to you. If you want to see it full screen, otherwise you can share it with that great. Actually, it's probably a very flattering rendition of me versus the real one there. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what we've been working on this through the year 2020. Obviously, we've been getting some lemons and trying to make lemonade out of it, trying to find ways to service the industry and service our members. And that's kind of what this one's about. This is as a COVID session, and we're going to look back on some of the COVID programming that we've done to date. And then I do have a few current slides to share with you as well. But trying to support the mission of ARWO and our members And one of the things we're talking about here is providing expert resources to improve governance, management, and operations. And that's the intent behind these now monthly sessions. They actually started off weekly for a while, and then we kind of rotated them back as the coronavirus crisis has carried on for a long time. And obviously participation, it's still pretty strong when we're doing it once a month, but it was getting to where it was just too much for folks. So again, they started weekly, and now they've moved to monthly check-ins. It's information to aid you and your utility. I've heard from many of the folks that attend this that they've really found them valuable and rewarding. For next year, in addition to having check-ins on COVID, at least as long as that is a current topic, and I don't see that going away anytime soon, but providing at least a single additional significant topic each month to go along with that, to try to provide some more value to the attendees and ultimately to your utilities. And they're interactive sessions, right? So we have polling, and then traditionally that's the way we do it, and then we share out afterwards. So that the polls are intended to facilitate discussion. Then we'll share out and find out what folks are thinking on that particular topic, and just to kind of go into more detail as to what the poll was about or what that particular agenda topic was about. Obviously, it's free to members of ARWO. And here's an example. The last one we had was just November the 5th. And I told you I like to use these little comics, right? So this was right about the, I think the comic predated the election a few days, and our session was maybe the day or two after the election. Also, we're going to expand it. So far it's been mostly related, and it's not only been executives on, but it's mostly been an executive level forum. But we want to provide IT and GIS support, financial, customer service, marketing, communications, so you can get your staff involved, or if you don't have a big staff for those things, the general manager or CEO, whoever's involved can certainly attend those sessions and provide information to your utilities too. And then there'll be many other subjects coming up as well. And every time the intention is to have some of the other members share their best practice as well. So this is a slide from the last time, but I did add this record capping week here in Ohio. These are Ohio particular slides, but we're up between 7,000 and 8,000 a day right now, just in the state of Ohio alone. And one thing, we had a scare here at Delco Water probably about 6 weeks ago. So far, up to that point, we hadn't had any positive cases within our utility. And we had our first scare, and it ended up coming back as negative. But the issue was, we sent the individual to go get tested, and it took 5 days for results to come back. And really, that's from a functionality standpoint, an operational standpoint, that's a non-starter. So what we did was we asked our HR professional to contact the health department here and say, we really need for them to understand how important the mission is that we perform here, the purpose of Delco Water, and how that requires us to get better service than a 5-day test result. And he was able to get us programmed in with the director of the health department, and we now have had rapid testing. In fact, the last individual that we sent to get tested, it was within 24 hours. And that one we did establish as as a positive, as we've had a couple positives now here within the company. But that was a real lesson learned, So if you haven't been through that process, if you don't have access to rapid testing, that's something that you really need to be able to functionally adapt, right? Because if it's going to come back negative 5 days later, you've sent up a lot of staff home for no reason, possibly. Whereas it's positive, obviously you can take appropriate action for that too. So just gonna step back real quick and just talk about some of the topics that we've hit since this pandemic started. And it kind of all started with CoBank. They're our main sponsor of this event, and they were kind enough to allow us to do a webinar back in I think it was late March. We were able to get that done. So it was pretty early on during the pandemic, and we got great response from that. We got great response from some of their water infrastructure customers that weren't ARWO members too, and we just invited everybody to keep coming out and attending this these interactive sessions, rather than a webinar type session. That's how it all started, was with CoBank back then. So we thank them for that opportunity and for their continued support for our organization. So things we've kind of hit, the first one, we went over the emergency response plans and how you deal with pandemics for that, how you staff, what's the appropriate thing to do with salary continuation, if you're sending people home, are you paying them or not, managing risk and that continuity of operations. And delinquency has been a regular recurring topic. What do you do? We've many states have had mandates that thou shall not disconnect. And those that haven't, it's always been considered best practice. You don't disconnect customers during the pandemic. April, we talked about employee survey. Something that Delco Water's done a couple times within this pandemic is actually asked those affected, how are you feeling? What would you think if we brought you back to the office or we sent you home, or whatever the next questions was, and we're able to share that results back with those attending. Also looked at financial assistance that might be available, through the CARES Act and the Paycheck Protection Program, making sure people understood what might be out there for them. Other sessions, just talking about arrears payment programs. How do you get customers reacquainted to paying a water bill when the state government has given them a no shut off order for 6 months? Just trying to think ahead, having people kind of strategize that. When it was very, very relevant, we were going through the different virtual meeting platforms and how you manage those virtual meetings, things that were very relevant and helpful to our members. In May, we talked about HR policies and actually shared out a whole set of policies that our HR professional has established here at Delco Water, and used the team at EJ Water, which is also their part-time ARWO staff as well, to talk about marketing for a crisis, and then how do you communicate with your staff. And one of our members asked for some background on affordability rates, so something we were able to dive into back then. The Black Lives Matter came up, and we talked about that and what you might want to do or not do from a corporate standpoint and from an employee standpoint. Really got a lot of feedback on that lesson. The future of the office and the lobby, and one of the things that we took out of that in Central Arkansas, one of our larger members, very urban area, that they've decided to close their lobby permanently, and just thought, we just don't have that many customers that come in, and it's a liability. It's easier for us to operate without the lobby, so we're going to provide them other opportunities to pay, and that led to other discussions about different opportunities to pay bills and how you would allow the access to your customers, and learn about things like unbanked customers. We certainly know folks that like to deal with cash. We've seen that in rural America, but unbanked customers was a new term I hadn't heard before. So that's just an example. Just wanted to throw in just a little variety of the types of sessions that we had early on. And again, we kind of switched back to once a month now, but they continue to be engaging sessions that I believe are very helpful. They've been helpful for me to help set up the programming and to get the feedback from the other utilities. A lot of lessons shared, and again, they're interactive, so we don't have polling available on this particular platform, but if we did, now would be a time when we would share some kind of poll out with you and then get some feedback. So some more recent slides. This is a pandemic that's now hitting all portions of our nation. It's not, related to urban areas, and certainly you all are very aware of that. But the slide on, the graphic on the left shows the amount of counties affected with number of cases over a certain threshold. Versus early on, where it was a very limited, just the more urban counties, and now it's throughout our nation. And El Paso had been really kind of glazed over when it first hit Texas, but it's come back and hit them hard. And in fact, we talked to some of the folks in the El Paso area that have had some personal challenges, significant ones, and that's always concern. We get those personal stories as well. On a national basis, our weekly cases have topped 1 million at this point. Now, if you remember early on, it took us a couple months to get to 1 million cases, and then we saw a slide, where the next one I think took 2 months, and then 1 month to get to 4 million. Now we're at 1 million in just a single week. So really seen a significant uptick. And talk about this winter surge, which has started here before we even really hit winter. We just ask Randy and Iowa Lakes. I'll tell you, we haven't hit winter yet, and it's coming. I've showed this is a couple weeks, and intentionally I left an older graphic up here. This graphic is just one of the many models that's out there that kind of talks about what might be coming. And then I wanted to kind of show you the threshold where we were early on, and then what had happened more recently. So this is from today, actually. It's the New York Times. Current, we're about 166,000 cases a day, and you superimpose that back on that slide that kind of forecast where we might be going. And based on that, so far at this winter trend, we're actually looking okay on a national basis. But then I've got the same slide for Ohio, and I mentioned we're between the 7,000 and 8,000 per day, and we certainly are following the trend. So this is that same model, but now it's just for Ohio specifically, and it shows that we are certainly following the winter forecast. In fact, we're a little bit ahead of it as far as number of cases on a daily basis, and it certainly expects us to be at 10,000 or more by the end of the month on a daily basis. So pretty significant things going on there. The last time out, we talked about the long-term effect that COVID might have, on our customers and on our employees, that it might change the trajectory of your life if you got a bad case of it. So on the good side, we had a couple good stories come out about the vaccines recently, and about the possibility they might be highly effective. And in fact, I've heard a couple of them might be released even in 2020. Pfizer and then this Moderna both look like they might be highly effective, and they're highly reactive on the stock market, trying to get that certainty about when we might see an end date for the pandemic. And then I grabbed this one. I thought it was really relevant. So Moderna says their vaccine is 94%, almost 95% effective. And the other one, the Pfizer one, I think was at 90%. And then this slide here shows you the efficacy of various other vaccines that are readily used in modern medicine, and you can see these are amongst the more effective ones out there. Certainly better than chickenpox and polio and mumps and some of the other ones out there. So we really could have, if they come to form and they perform the way that early results indicate, we could be well positioned. And I'm very glad to be able to share some positive information on that. Several folks have experienced 2 recurrences, and the question is, have they actually had the virus 2 different times, 2 different strains of the coronavirus, or is this rather the same case that's affected them twice and gone away and then come back? And that's really not known yet, but it certainly seems to be the exception rather than the norm. So this is interesting and may affect our workplace. So right now here at Delco Water, every Monday morning, all our staff is required to fill out a survey on a daily basis. We're supposed to be taking our own temperature and checking in, making sure we don't have fevers and that kind of stuff. And the most current science says, well, you could have significant impact even without the fever. So that's maybe not enough. And then, on the other side of the slide there, the challenges we're having in rural America and running out of hospital space in some cases. I put this one on here, surprise, surprise. The holidays already tend to be a pretty stressful time to families dealing with many of the other things going on, and the pandemic may add stress. I mean, no kidding. Challenges with, maybe not being able to engage with family, with parents. We have I don't know whether it's an order, but a highly recommendation from our governor to just stay within your nuclear families and not invite over, your parents or your children or that kind of thing. So just think about that and how that affects yourself and your staff. Something I know we're bringing somebody in from the health department. We have a monthly session or even more often than that, where we talk to all of our staff. And we have a professional coming in talking about how it may be affecting the spirits and the psychology of the employees as well. So that's coming this Friday here at Delco Water, and something that you should maybe consider doing as well. Again, the emotion and the psychology effects of the coronavirus. This actually was an article that said that the elderly, in this case, just because of their life experience and having experienced more challenges in their past, they have much more positive outlook and are able to deal with this much better than the younger generation. And it's kind of contrary. Early on, it said that the elderly were much more at risk because of the mortality of the coronavirus. But this article says that the younger generation are having much more negative challenges with their psychology and their spirits related to it. So something really to consider within your office. Just because they're young doesn't mean that they're not being significantly affected one way or another on this thing. The challenge, the legal challenge, might be associated, and this could be both, within your lobby and your business office, and then also the areas surrounding you. So a lot of us are in rural areas, but there's at least a couple of significant utilities that are in more urban areas, including DOCO. We've got quite a bit of office space around here, and those spaces may never fill again, or they may never fill the way they have in the past. Just it may affect things. We also throw in non-COVID related things, and we're going to be doing more and more of this. I thought this was interesting because HD Supply is one of the big providers of water and wastewater equipment and parts and pieces, and they are going to rejoin Home Depot, according to this article today. And then how will COVID change aging and retirement? And I looked at this article. A lot of it's pretty obvious stuff, but with the great part on, when we borrow for our utilities, we're getting these rates that are, once in a lifetime, unbelievably low. But when it comes to retirement savings, that means you need more to get that rate of return. And then, as you get closer to retirement age, they obviously encourage you to reduce risk and get in more sustainable cash flows. Make sure you're not in equities as much. You're more in the bond market. Well, that's dropped out significantly to the point where you might have to save 20% more money to get that same expectation of a return. And for Delco Water, we run our own pension plan, and it means we require a lot more cash to be able to provide a retirement plan, an annuity for an individual. And we shared this one. This was from the last slide deck too as well. But so far we haven't started looking for water on the moon, as at least at Delco Water here, as we do our source water search. But we have been looking around and just thought it was interesting, and we try to throw this kind of stuff in. Water is now a tradable commodity, and on the stock market, you can buy equities in water for California. So again, it's my intention to give you back most of your time, so I'm going to finish up. I just got a couple more slides here, but we're here to build a stronger utility for you and your staff and your board. We're looking to provide models to replicate best practices and share those practices amongst ourselves and all of our members. Identify ways forward when we don't have one. So several times we've helped lobby for specific utilities that needed help at the state level or at the federal level, particularly. And that's something we're always willing to do for you. And looking forward, we can thank our sponsor, CoBank, and we're going to be working with them on more webinars along with these monthly sessions. And just kind of to close off, remember we're going to be back here at the top of the hour with advocacy programs with Randy Van Dyke, our current president, Jim LaPlante, our current treasurer, I think, or secretary, one of those two, and then Hector Gonzalez, the senior vice president. 1 p.m., Brett Poole is going to be on talking about politics. And I grabbed this article. It's been about 2 months ago, but I grabbed it at the time. I said, this might be a relevant situation for us here going forward if Trump isn't reelected. I've teasingly said he's reallocating the funds for his wall from the southern border to around the White House because he's not giving up his spot. He's not giving it up easy. So I'm very interested to hear Brent's commentaries on political outlook and updates on how that's going to affect the water and wastewater industry. At 2:00, Dan Kowalski with CoBank going to be on here talking about the financial outlooks, the impacts on utility in rural America. And then 3:00, we're going to close out with a regionalization discussion with Nathan Oley at RCAP, Tad Bohannon with Central Arkansas, Randy, and our CEO or Executive Director, Jim Morris. And we'll be closing the conference after that. So thank you for giving me 20 minutes of your time here. I'm going to give you back the rest of the hour, and we're going to see you at the top of the hour with the advocacy group. So we appreciate that very much. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. If there's any questions, we can certainly take those before I close off. How do I unshare my screen? All right, I'm back up, right? Q&A, we got anything? I'm seeing nothing. All right, we good? Astrid, we good to close out the session and meet back on the next hour then?
Yeah, it looks like it. I don't see any questions coming through. So just, I think we'll see everyone at noon. And then lastly, if there are any of the participants on here that haven't registered on our website, make sure to do that because that's how we're sending out the welcome packages as well. So if you happen to get the link from just a coworker or someone on your team, please make sure to register. The link is ARWO, ARWO conference.com. So we'll see everyone at noon. Thank you so much, Glenn. You did a wonderful job.
Thank you. Appreciate it. We'll see you then.